Hello, Knockouts. Tanya TKO here. And as you know, I'm a self love specialist from TanyaTKO.com. I hope you learn how to love yourselves and one another. On this channel, we typically use viral video topics as teachable moments for what self love or self abuse looks like in your own life. And over the past day and a half, over the past 2 days, we've been talking about abuse. And so I'm coming out, and YouTube and Facebook, they don't like words like abuse and violence and stuff like that in the titles, in the description, or in the first 30 seconds of the video because it's not conducive to advertisers, etc. But, I felt that it was important to come out and have this conversation because I feel like it's one that really needs to be had. The title of today's video is Abuse Starts Long Before a Hand is Raised, hashtag self-love. Welcome in, everybody. I'm actually going to, before we jump into the topic, I'm going to make sure that the text notification squad has gotten their text. Also, the video that I did last night on Safari was blocked by Viacom, and I spent most of the day going back and forth disputing. So I've had a lot of time to think today. Plus, I put up a snippet of the Kevin Samuels video where he was talking specifically about how he doesn't see Black women being abused. And I thought that it was important to come out. Okay, perfect. Wait, today is the 11th. I haven't gotten my notification yet. All right. If we don't get the notification in another minute or so, I will send it out manually. Today is not a video day, not a show day. As you see, I don't have on my uniform. I'm just casually here having a conversation with you all. Still waiting for this thing to go out. So how is everybody out there? You can thumbs up the video. In this particular instance, it's not going to make much of a difference because it has the word abuse in the title, and I said it already in the first 30 seconds. So we're going to be talking about some different ways that you can. I had to turn off the notifications earlier because, all right, it just went out. Perfect. So the text notification squad should start coming in because as you see on YouTube, there were 88 people on here before the text went out. Now there's 100 and climbing. So it's really important that you all do support the creators that you enjoy the content of because we don't really have the latitude to have really serious discussions. You do a prank video or something stupid on here or some fake hacks or dangerous foolishness on here, and there'll be the algorithm is a-okay with it. But you talk about some serious life lessons and they just don't send your video out to people. So this is why I'm happy that I do have the people from the text notification squad. So text notification squad, go ahead, let's get information. Go ahead and throw up your number 10s. I'm gonna get as soon as I see the 10s coming through, I'm gonna get your comments on the screen. Hey Key, welcome. And Tiffany, thank you. Tiffany saying it's a, yeah, so the 10s are starting to come through. So welcome, Nichelle. Hey, Green Vegan. Welcome, 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 welcome. So, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, but your behavior, how you interact with the video, whether you share it, whether you comment, whether you click on it when it's on the main page the first time, or who else you click on, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been talking about abuse over the past few days. Now it's 135 and climbing on YouTube. So thank you, text notification squad, because there are 500 people on my text notification squad, and you all help me be able to get the word out even when the platforms don't want to. So a lot of content creators feel like they are revolutionaries, but the revolution is not televised. And if you don't have a direct way to be able to get in touch with your base, these people are not going to give you any more latitude than they allow you. So I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much. All right, so let's get to talking. Let's get to talking. Abuse starts long before a hand is raised. Now, me personally, thank goodness I have never been in an abusive relationship. Thank goodness. And I was sitting here pontificating about why that has been. Why have I not been in an abusive relationship? What was it that I saw or decisions that I made early on that stopped me and geared me away from people who had the potential to be abusive, to offset, nip it off, nip it in the bud, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to say this, right? Self-love is at the foundation of all of it. When I was young, I did not like being beat. I never got used to it. I never thought I deserved it. I never said, well, I'm a better person for it. It just never, beatings never resonated with me. You know, some children are just, if those of you who are parents, that some children just come in with certain personalities. Me, I didn't like it. I didn't like people putting their hands on me. I didn't like being touched in ways that I didn't consent to. And a lot of parents, especially parents in the Black community, are not going to hear what it is that I'm saying because so many of us are accustomed to beating our children into submission using fear as a disciplinary tactic. And I'm going to implore you, right, that if you want something different in your life, that you're going to need to be willing to see things in a different way. We look at movies, we look at TV, and we look at people on the internet, and we have all of these fantasies about how we would behave in a certain situation, what we would do, et cetera, how we would be better than this and better than that. And I'm going to tell you that change is uncomfortable. There are a lot of people who spend their time looking at me and what I do and say on the internet so that they can find holes and so they'll try to find holes and so that they can try to say how I've done something wrong. Like I did a video where I was like talking about how I needed to forgive myself. And there were people who came out to the video and was like, yeah, you were so wrong for this and you were so wrong for that. And I say, it's a waste of time when you spend your time trying to analyze what you think somebody else needs to do differently, because yourself is the hardest person that there is to see, right? So I implore you to be courageous enough to confront ideas and programming that you've had, because if you want, if you cannot get out of the problem with the same mindset that created it or got you into it. So I'm going to implore all parents out there, if you use violence-based discipline, or if you're out there and you're pregnant and you're thinking about how do you, what type of parent you want to be and how you're going to go about raising your child, as the person who's caretaker of your child, the person who loves your child and who your child will come to know your behaviors as love, I implore you to challenge yourself to come up with other ways of discipline first before violence-based discipline. Because if we're going to talk about the overarching loom of violence in relationship, let me ask you all this question. You know what? Let's do a survey. Let's do a survey, right? And this is for anybody who received violence-based discipline, right? And also ended up in a relationship where violence was involved, right? Okay. If you had never had violence-based discipline, do you think that you would have ended up in a relationship with violence in it? Would violence have seemed familiar to you? If you think yes, I want you to put up the number 1. If you think no, I want you to put up the number 2. I just want to see. I don't know what the answers are going to be, but I want you to be really honest with yourself. If you think, right? If you think that you would have still been in a violent relationship, put up 1. If you don't think so, put up the number 2. So let's see what your answers are going to be. Okay. So there's a little bit of a delay between when I say something, it's about 20 seconds. So I'm just waiting for you all to, okay, all right. But I only want people who were in violent relationships to answer, right? Only the people who were in violent relationships. If you have never been in a relationship where there was violence, I want you to just ignore this question. Okay. So I see a lot of people putting up the number 2. And I can only imagine, starting with the first introduction that we've had to violence from a person that we love. What would our life be like if we grew to adulthood never having experienced this violence at the hand of someone whom we loved, and then had somebody else come in and decide that they're going to be violent with us? It would be so foreign, in my opinion, it would be so foreign and so far off base that you wouldn't even know how to compute. You wouldn't even know how to compute, right? What do you, you cannot be serious right now, right? So let's start there. And then 2, now listen, I am not saying that everybody who received violence-based discipline ends up in a romantic relationship with violence, because I received violence-based discipline and I did not end up in a relationship where violence was involved. Like I said, I never identified with the violence. I did not like the violence. I didn't like it as a child. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh, it made me a better person. Where would I be without it? Where would you be if your parents had taken the time to have earnest conversations with you, and had you used your logic, reasoning, and decision-making skills from early on in your life? There are far too many people who are crippled logically because they didn't really get a chance to exercise their communicative muscle. They never got a chance to really exercise how to effectively articulate, how to verbalize what's going on with you. You didn't have a chance. If we just sit down and think about it, right? If we just sit down and think about it, and I want to move on from this, but if we sit down and think about it, what are the things that are silently communicated to you when somebody takes your body, strikes your body, hurts you, and also is the person who loves you and caretakes for you, right? I can imagine that one, it teaches you that sometimes people who love you hurt you and that it's for your own good, or it's posited as being for your own good, right? 2, I can imagine that it expresses and communicates to you that people can do with your body as they choose. Authority figures can do with your body as they choose. People who say that they love you or who take care of you can do with your body and touch you in ways that you don't consent to, ways that hurt, that your body is really not yours, that you are the property of this person who has taken ownership of you and has decided that they will do as they please with your body because they feel that they know best and that this is how it's always been done, right? That could be another thing that could be communicated. 3, another thing that could be communicated is that when you don't have the words, or when you get angry enough, or when someone upsets you, that striking them is okay. I mean, if you really think, and everybody's household was different, if you think about the different ways in which you receive violence-based discipline, you can put 2 and 2 together, because as a child, you had to process a lot of information coming into your being in your household. And you had to learn who was what, where you fit in this family, etc., right? You feel violated and boundaries broken. And I'm glad that you bring that up, because that takes us into violent romantic relationships, right? The only thing that I have to go by is 2 instances. When I was 17, this guy who I had wanted to date slapped me once, right? I don't know why he decided, I think he was just kind of testing the waters or something like that. He slapped me and I picked up a knife. And he backed up and he started laughing about how he was joking, right? Because I told you, I never identified. You know, when in that, you told Harpo to beat me and she went off, right? So it's like, I never identified with it. I didn't like it. I didn't think, oh, this is all right. But I can't even imagine if I was okay with it if I was okay with the violence-based discipline I received as a child after this young man had slapped me, how would I have processed it? If I had seen my mother being slapped, what would have gone through my mind? I probably would have been like, oh, this is normal or whatnot, right? So that was the first and last time he'd ever tried anything like that. As a matter of fact, after I picked up that knife, I was like, I actually had a friend who was biracial at the time. And she told me about how she'd stabbed her sister with a fork and all this. She had a white mother, and she used to curse her mother out. And I'd never heard language like this used from a child to their parent before. And I did not want to be in any type of interaction that inspired me into violence, or that this person felt that it was okay. So after that, I lost my attraction for him, right? Nonetheless, right? I lost my attraction for him. But when I became an adult, there was also another situation in which I had gotten the inclination. I've told you all this story before, right? But listen, somebody's talking about, oh, I'll smack him right back. Abuse starts long before a hand is raised. You get conditioned for the abuse by first being mentally and emotionally, psychologically broken down, right? But nonetheless, so the second instance was this guy I told you about him, 12:01 midnight, the very chocolatey, beautiful, opal, obsidian colored skin, right? He told me a story about how he had hit one of his ex-girlfriends, and I was disgusted by the story, completely turned off, dried up from it, right? And so he never got the chance to bring that into my life, but I noticed some patterns that existed between the guy when I was 17 and 12:01 midnight. So one of the things that I noticed that existed in both relationships were lies, right? Just lying about stuff that really doesn't even matter. If you think about what a lie is, why a person may lie, and what is the underlying message between you and a person when a person lies and you can catch them in lies, etc. One of the things that I can imagine that lying starts with is control. You want to control the truth. You want to control what information a person thinks, even if it's minor or petty or minute, right? So they begin lying and telling lies, and that's one of the ways that the water is tested. To me, lying is psychological abuse. That's how I feel about it. Contorting the truth, holding back information is manipulative, it's psychologically abusive. And I noticed that with both of those men, there were lies that were involved, lies, petty lies that you could catch the person in, between what time it is that they said that they left, or whether their phone was charging or not charging, or who this other person was, etc. That was one of the things. The second thing that I noticed was an inability to accept responsibility for how they chose to show up, and the interactions that we had, and what it is that I discussed with them that I felt uncomfortable with or had questions with. So one, it was blaming other people or pretending as if it wasn't that big of a deal, right? Psychological manipulation, if exacerbated, could be seen as psychological abuse, gaslighting, those sorts of things, right? So that's two. Three, that I saw was lack of respect for boundaries. And this shows up in so many different ways. One, I'll say, the heavy pursuit, right? Now, listen, I am by no means an expert in oil. I'm just telling you my personal experience, right? And I'm hoping that this video can touch somebody who is in the early stages and somebody is lying to them, or you see that they're not accepting responsibility, or you hear something inside of this video that will help you be able to make a different decision, right? Respect for boundaries. I noticed that with each of them, right? if so like when I was young, so I'm 17. This guy, he wanted everybody, all of the dudes in the hood wanted to be the first back then. And he didn't have respect for the boundaries that I had set up and what it is that I said that I wanted or did not want. And he kept trying to push my buttons or unbutton the buttons, if you catch my drift, right? And then person number two, I there were other things that I said in that relationship, values that I held true, that he continued to try to push the boundaries of the values that I said that I held. Like wanting to, like saying he doesn't want any more children, but attempting to have unprotected intercourse, stuff like that. Now this is irresponsible. You already don't accept responsibility for the things that you say that some other woman, your baby mama, has done to you, this, that, and the other. That was one of the huge red flags. This blaming the baby mama for everything and anything that you can think of, saying that you're not ready for any more children, but not participating in responsible adult behavior. So sexually reckless, right? Like first guy, you don't care for me. You're not there to be in my life for the rest of my life. Yet you're trying to push buttons and unbutton buttons. Why? So that you could, for your own pleasure and benefit, so that you could say that you were the first and forget what it is that I want and how I want my life to look. And then other dude, like I am, can you imagine? Like it's like these guys, they talk about how these women trick them into having babies, but how did your semen enter into her fallopian tubes? Did someone wrangle your penis down and squeeze it out and use a baster or what do you call them thing? Yeah, a baster to it squirt it up into the person, so they're reckless with their seed and then squirting it here and there and then wanting to blame you for being seminated by their seed. So that was a huge turnoff for me. So those were three of the main red flags. Now, another thing that I can say that I saw that were similar between the two is, how do I put this? Not saying what they mean and meaning what they say, not having the integrity that you can balance a checkbook by, that you can organize your watch to, that you can depend on. Neither one of them I could depend on. And in both of those scenarios with both of these different men, right? And the reason why I'm bringing these up is because one, the guy when I was 17 slapped me, right? The one when I was when the 12:01 midnight, he indicated to me that he had been abusive with an ex in the past. So these are two guys that I know per their own account or my experience with them, that they have at least stated or demonstrated that they would hit, slap, or whatever to a woman, some sort of violence, right? Okay. So not being dependable, not being able to rely on them in a way that would make them upstanding men. That's one of the things that I noticed they had in common. And let's see. That and if I think of anything else, I'll add it in. But those were the biggest ones right there. Oh, one other thing. Uncertainty. Uncertainty. When I was younger, I wasn't sure if some of these other girls were friends or not friends, or whether he had interest or they had interest, but there wasn't a real extreme clear sense of clarity. There wasn't. There was always, am I wrong about this? I got to question my intuition. Is this because I'm young, right? 12:01 midnight on the other hand, uncertainty about where he was, what he was doing, whether or not what he was telling me was the truth. There was uncertainty, and that lack of clarity, that lack of, I mean, if you think about it, right? A man should be able to speak definitively, say what he mean what he say, and be able to communicate in an open, honest manner, and also not be involved in these petty little back and forths of uncertainty. Like, if we don't have trust in our relationship, what are we doing? What are we doing? If I don't trust you, and you're not in a space and I'm not in a space for us to be able to really come together and have trust in the relationship, why are you still entertaining me? Why would any man entertain a woman who doesn't trust him? Right? Think about that. If she's questioning you, questioning your integrity, and you know that you're an integrity-filled man, why are you entertaining her? Unless there's some truth to what it is that she's saying, and you are attempting to wiggle and maneuver around her suspicions, right? So those are all of the things that I can think of that both of them had in common. I hope that if you found that list helpful, I would love to see a number 3 come up. If you found the list of what it is that I said helpful, I would love to see a number 3, right? I'm going to open up the phone lines in a moment because I want to hear something that other women have noticed existed before the abuse started. Now, me, you already know that I'm not with the verbal abuse. Like when I cussed that guy out, right? Last week or the week before, however, whatever it was, right? There were some women who came out and they were like, I love that guy. He was so calm. What was wrong with you? You were so irrational. You were so rude and mean to him. Listen, I reject abuse from a core spiritual level. And I may not always be able to articulate with words what's wrong, but my spirit knows when something is grating me the wrong way. People could say a lot of different things, but there are inconsistencies that you pick up on inside of your spirit, inside of your soul, that your higher self picks up on that you don't feel right with. And as a human, you're not able to really put it into words about what exactly is troubling you about the interaction, but you just know something is troubling you. I say, listen to your intuition. Listen to that inner voice. Listen, do the work that you need to do on yourself to be able to get yourself in a non-insecure place, a very self-secure, a very self-loving place, and listen to your intuition, right? So listen, I'm going to turn on the phone lines right now because I've pretty much said most of what it is that I need to say, right? So let's get this. All right. All right, phone lines are open. This is the phone number right here, 323-488-3149. I'd like to hear from you with some words of wisdom that you may be able to use to help people. And I don't want you to just speak about one situation. I want you to only talk about the similarities that you've seen, because each of those guys had more things that were not quite right. But those were the only 4 or 5 things that I saw that actually both of them had in common. So give me 1 second. I need to get my earpiece in.
Okay.
All right. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name?
My name is Bree.
Hi, Bree. So what is your comment this evening?
Pertaining to how males act in relationships, right?
So when you
So the list
decided
that
to
you,
call, when you decided to call in, what did you think that we were talking about?
no, I know you were talking about. I just, I have a couple men in my life who kind of do the things that you were listing, and
Okay.
I feel like my father has always been openly abusive and always bragged about being abusive
Okay.
towards women, and I think it's funny that I just use him as an example as the most like misogynistic person. Like he's like a kitten heel.
Okay.
So when I listen to your show and you talk about these things, I think it's funny because I
Okay.
can relate to them because I've had men in my life like that. Like
All right.
growing up, like my stepdad was the same type of man.
All
and my
right.
mother
Have you
chased him
been have you
around
been
while
have you been in a relationship with an abusive person?
I think I'm currently in a relationship with an abusive person, emotionally
Okay.
abusive. I
Okay.
mean,
And
he's raised his hand at me, and I don't
when
know,
you
it's
when you say he's
confusing.
raised
I
his
feel
hand at you, what do you mean?
like, like if he gets irritated at me, he's like raised his hand at me, like as if he's about to hit me.
And
Like,
how do you feel about that when he raised his hand?
I don't like it. I've been beat my whole life by these men that I just said. Like these men, my stepdad beat me as a child, and then my real dad, he threatened me when I was like 16. So then when I
Okay.
get into a relationship with a man who I open up to about these experiences, and he acts like he's there to protect me, and then I turn around and now he's here to beat on me as well. So
Okay.
I don't know. I
So
think it
he
made me feel very alone.
okay, so he raised his how long have you two been together?
I've been together with him since 2018.
Okay, so you've been together with him for those the 3 years, 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah,
2018,
yeah.
2019, 2020, 2021. That sounds like 4 years for some reason. All right. So, have you had a conversation with him about why he's raising his hand?
So he's told me that I'm a nigga, and that's the only way niggas can learn.
Um, have you had any
I
type of healing? Have you done any type of therapy to work on the conditioning, the conditions of abuse that you've received?
I haven't done therapy on the conditions of abuse, but I've been in therapy just personally for myself and my depression and anxiety. So
And have you ever brought up the abuse that you faced in your therapy sessions?
I have, and I don't know, like whenever I try to speak about things like that with my therapist, she just kind of wants to focus on like, okay, setting goals, meeting goals, you know, it's nothing ever really like
How did you find
personal.
this therapist?
Um, Through my primary care provider.
Okay, listen,
So
your therapist works for you. Your therapist is there to do what it is that you need done to help your life heal in the ways that you want your life to heal. Okay? So if you have a
yeah,
therapist that is not working on the things that, because your therapist and you are working together. Like I tell you all this in my broadcast, I have a life coach and I use my life coach to be able to help me do the things that I'd like to do for my life. So if you'd like to talk about abuse inside of your therapy sessions and your therapist is not down for talking about what you need to talk about, it is time that you found a different therapist.
yeah, I've come to that conclusion.
Yes, and then also this situation with your boyfriend and how he says that you're a nigga, and that's the only thing that niggas understand, right? And you said that you did
Yeah,
not feel safe and you felt very alone. What is it that you're going to do to make sure that you protect yourself?
I mean, the only thing that I've really been doing is just focusing on my life and making sure that, no matter how hard he tries to break me down, that I'm still continuously building myself up.
So
Even
your
if
your boyfriend
the,
tries to break you down?
well, so the thing is when I met him, I was 18 and he's like 32 when I met him. So I feel like he got to me when I was very vulnerable and he kind of used that to manipulate me. And now I'm just kind of like in this relationship and I'm kind of just waking up to just everything around me and the games that he's been playing and the gaslighting and just the controlling behavior and the
Okay.
justifications for his behavior that I believed in. And now I just feel like everything's like a mess.
Okay.
Um,
Well, let me say this to you. Tell me, remind me of your name again, because you said it early in the broadcast.
Bree,
Three. Okay. Your life is your own. You've got to take responsibility for the direction that you want your life to go in the same way that you say that your boyfriend has these justifications for why he's behaving the way that he's behaving, right? You sitting here on the phone and justifying his behavior or saying he got me when I was young and manipulated me, etc. You have
Yeah.
control over who you date. Are you living with him?
No.
You pay your own bills.
Yes.
You have control over who it is that you date. You have the control. So when you say he manipulated you in the past, what is it that you're going to do in the present? You said that you are aligned with a man who you say, no matter how hard he tries to break me down. So you're with a person who you say is actively attempting to break you down. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do to repair your self love so that you are only accepting what it is that you know you deserve? What are you going to do? Because we cannot control him. What are you going to do?
I mean, I've just been focusing on myself. Like, I'm still young, so I'm just like, I'm in school, I'm working, and I'm just kind of going to the gym, getting hobbies, taking care of my dog. Like, I just feel like because there's so much history with him that's why.
Every 19 hours, a Black woman is killed by a man in this country. Every 19 hours. In South Africa, it's every 6 hours. And people are saying that the numbers are even higher than that, right? You say that you have history. However, is this relationship feeding you? And is it feeding you to the same extent that it is breaking you down?
I think so, honestly.
So it's equal. It is feeding you to the same extent that it's breaking you down.
Yeah. I mean, he
Okay.
says that he's giving me tough love, so that's why I understand
Ex-
I'm making a lot of excuses. I really do.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Speak louder because it sounds like you said he's giving you tough love.
Yeah, like he makes it like see when I talk to him, he makes it seem like the reason he's doing this is because it's gonna help me grow.
So
And
you feeling alone and afraid is helping you grow.
well, so he thinks that's why I'm so confused because I trusted him so much, and then I don't know. It's like in hindsight, he distanced me from my family, from my friends. Like he did everything that basically an abusive person would do. I don't know. I guess
Listen,
it's just
you know
hard because
what?
I'm in the thick of it, I guess.
Listen, you've got to love yourself. This is your life because the last thing you want to do is get trapped with a baby or into pregnancy or
Yeah.
into marriage, and then he feels that he owns you, and that's when the abuse ramps up. He's already lifting his hand to you. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, right? And you may be shocked by what it is that I say, right? I respect your right to choose. You said that he enriches you about as much as he breaks you down, right?
Yeah.
You said it's equal. To me, that's not good enough because violence is very dangerous. Psychological abuse is very dangerous. You already said you suffer from depression. This is life or death. However, I personally respect your choice because this is your life to lead. I cannot force you to love yourself. The only thing that I can say is that there are things that you can do to be able to strengthen your self love, but those are things that you're going to need to do because climbing out of a hole, climbing up is very difficult when there are forces that are digging you deeper into the hole. But if this is the life that you choose, I respect your life. And one day you'll think back to this conversation and you'll realize that you've had the choice all along, Dorothy. All you had to do was click your heels. All right. What is it that you were calling? What were you hoping from this phone call when you decided to call in?
I just wanted to hear from a well-rounded person. You know, I feel like there's so many dysfunctional people in my life that give me guidance that's not really guidance. So I guess I just wanted to hear it from somebody that everybody really respects and I don't know. I feel like
Listen, listen, you and I are
I know what I
different
need to do.
because the hit that he gives you, I'm not going to feel.
Yeah,
When
you're right.
he's frightening you, I don't feel that fear. So that is your life. You're the one who's going to have to deal with. And what type of language does he use towards you when you all are arguing?
It's, he's talking through his teeth at me. Like he's trying
Gritting
to
his
hold himself
teeth.
back from hurting me.
Right. And you're staying in this situation. What can I do
I mean,
from
because I was
afar?
already pregnant with twins, and we had a miscarriage, and like I had a whole year of miscarriages, and I feel like he didn't really care that much.
Listen, you've got to
I
care
don't.
for yourself. I don't know what else to say. You've got to,
Yeah, I know.
the universe allowed for you not to be trapped with his babies. Over and over and over again, the universe aborted those fetuses. And
Yeah,
you
that's
said
how I
that he
felt.
did not care about the fetuses, his fetus that was growing in your womb. Listen, I don't know what to say. Because me personally, I don't like abuse.
And
I
you
don't
wouldn't
resonate
tolerate
with
it.
it. I don't like people talking fly at me. I don't like it. I don't resonate with it and I move very far away from it, but that's me. There's something about your conditioning where this is familiar to you and this is your life. You have to decide what it is
Yeah.
that you want for your life. You want to be a statistic? You want to be
No, I
these
don't.
people that folks are like, oh, Bree was such a bright young lady with a future ahead of her, but some man decided that her life was his to take. Or you get trapped with some baby from a man and now you used to be young, but now your throat is riddled with disease, your uterus tattered with other ailments, your breast filled up with things that you got to go get operated out. So this is the life that you have to think about what it is that you want. I cannot force you. Nobody can. Nobody can.
You're right. I appreciate you telling me this.
Listen,
Um,
take this very seriously. Abuse is not a joke. And we've got to stop with this pie in the sky. Let me offer myself up to the altar and lay myself down. One day he's going to realize how much he hurts me type of madness. So, listen, I appreciate you calling in. You have got to do what it is that you need to do for you. Nobody else can do it for you. Because, like I said, the
okay.
hits that you feel, I don't feel the pain from that.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you have a very good night.
You as well. Bye.
Okay. The phone lines are open. 323-488-3149. The thing about it is that the programming is so deeply embedded that people have to do what it is that they need to do for themselves on the inside. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name?
Hi, Tanya. This is Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hi. Yeah. I wasn't gonna call in, so I don't have any notes written down or anything or that, key points or anything. Um, I just wanted to say that, there are so many people that contribute, to their own death because they didn't get out of a situation that they could have, or they stayed in the situation longer than they should
Have
have.
you been in an
Especially,
abusive relationship?
yes, I actually have.
Okay, have you been in more than one? Because we're talking about the patterns. What are the patterns that you've seen? Have you been in more than one abusive relationship?
I can't say that I have been in more than one. I have been in an abusive relationship. Yes, I have been in an abusive relationship.
Okay, well, we're listening for the patterns that people have noticed in their abusive
I
relationships.
mean, but it's with my baby's mother, and I know I know how she is with her husband and with her boyfriend.
I
So
need,
I
I
watch her,
need,
and
yeah, you know, I'm sorry. What I don't want,
I'm sorry.
right? There's a
Yeah,
lot of people out there who are suffering from abuse. Right now, we're
right. And
talking to
I don't
women.
take it lightly.
Right.
I
I know,
mean,
but listen, 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 listen.
okay, okay, I'm listening.
I, there isn't the space here right now for anybody to call up and talk about what other people are not doing or could do better. There's no space for that. When you started off saying there's so many people that contribute to their own, whatever the case may be, I don't know if you said abuse or death or whatnot, by not leaving a situation that they could have left, there's no space for that right now. What we're doing right now is very, very important, and talking about what other people aren't doing, there's no space for it right now. We all care very much for you, and we're going to allow you to leave the phone line so that we can open the phone lines for somebody who's going to contribute to the warning signs that they have noticed in patterns across relationships. Okay?
Okay, but I know a bunch of warning signs. I mean, that's what I'm calling it. You're calling to
I
help. You
want,
want people to help, but
no,
then you're not
I
seeing it from
want
a man's point of
Taylor,
view.
I promise you with all that is good and pure in my heart, I will cuss you the fuck out on this goddamn phone right now. I'm trying to let you off
Correct.
very politely. Get the fuck
Okay.
off my line, please. No, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm not in the mood. You're on the air with Tanya. What is your name?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Oh, hi, Tanya. My name is Mia.
Hi, Mia. Mia,
So,
I'm going to put you on
hi.
hold for just a moment, please, okay? Because I
Okay.
need to clear something up for the people in the comments. I'm going to be right back with you, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Let me tell you, because I saw somebody who said Taylor is an ally, right? Let me explain something to you. An ally is someone who respects your boundaries. And when you express to them that you need space or you need them to exit or whatever the case may be, they need to respect your boundaries. And this is exactly what we're talking about. I want to hear from people, I want to hear from women specifically who have been with multiple abusive men, who can tell us the patterns that they have seen that exist in both or in all of the relationships that they have had with abusive men. Okay? And I need you all to listen and hear, because if I am searching for some data from a particular population, please hear me. Hear me. Okay? And when I politely or restrainedly try to get you off of the line, please take cue. Okay? Don't try to get loud with me. Don't raise your don't puff out your chest at me. I know what it is that I'm looking for, and I'm not looking for a man who come. He squandered his time when he came on talking about people who um who killed themselves by staying too long. It's inappropriate. You all already know that. Don't play with me here today. I'm not in the mood for it. I'm not in the mood, especially when we're talking about abuse. We're doing important work tonight. And if you don't know that, then this isn't the broadcast for you. And if you think that listen, you see, and this is how a lot of you, because I saw somebody said that he was nice, right? Nice people punch you in the head every single day. People who are nice trample over your boundaries every single day. And I'm going to tell you, right? Okay. I'm about to start blocking people. The block party's about to begin, right? It was inappropriate, and I expressed that. I know what the fuck I'm doing up here. If you don't know what the fuck I'm doing, then maybe you need to sit back and learn. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Listen, I know what I'm doing. especially when it comes to people that I've interacted with multiple times. This is how a lot of you go out there and you get fooled. You better open up your ears and pay attention. Open up your ears, open up your eyes, and pay attention. There's a lot of men who pull up their nuts before they call up on the phone, and they gaslight and they pander. And this is how so many of you got fooled by Derek Jackson. How so many of you get fooled by so many of these men out there with their fake, tattered up relationships who are coming onto the internet talking shit to you and letting you dig down in your purse and pay for items that they're selling to your black ass. Okay? Listen. Play with it tonight, because I cannot help people who do not want to help themselves. This is the bottom line of it. This is the bottom line of it, okay? Let's continue forward. We have Nia on the line. Hi, Nia. Let me ask you a question. When you were on hold, were you able to hear me through the phone?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So you're on the air now. I just had to straighten some things up publicly, right? And I just had to handle that real quick. So my apologies. So please talk to us. What is your comment this evening?
Okay, so I just want to first off say that I love your show, and I think that you are an amazing woman, and I think that what you do for us Black women is just astonishing. And honestly, I wouldn't really call this, I mean, I don't know like if it's a form of mental abuse, but so my fiance, or my husband, I just got married, he's pushing me to go to nursing school and to basically like, you know, be the cash cow or like take care of all the finances in the house while he just kind of, you know, not really work. And I don't really know like if that's a sign of mental abuse or just laziness, or if I'm just like being selfish. If that makes any sense.
So you're saying that your husband doesn't work?
He works, but he doesn't like want to get like a high earning job. Like he's fine with being a grocery clerk.
When you
Well,
say
he
grocery
wants
clerk,
me
you're
to go
talking
to
about the
nursing
person who's
school.
like, boop, 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 ringing up groceries?
No, ma'am. Like he's like stalking them, like you know, like
He's
putting them on the
stocking
shelf.
groceries, putting them on the shelf?
Yes, ma'am. But he's like a team leader. Like he's like the manager of people who do it. If that makes any sense. He's not like really like a manager. He's just like a team leader within that department.
Okay. And you said that that is what he aspires to, and he wants you to go to nursing school to be able to make the bulk of the money.
Yes, ma'am. And like I don't really know how to feel about that. And it's like
How
I
do
don't
you
want to
feel
like.
about it?
I'm sorry. What was that?
How do you feel about it?
I don't want to do it. I mean, everyone's telling me that I would be a great nurse and all, but deep down inside, that's not something that I want to do. And he's pushing me to really do it, and I'm just like, I honestly don't see myself being a nurse. I mean, I really see myself being a teacher, but that doesn't really make, you know, that much money. So it's
Okay.
like I'm kind of in a boat of, I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I said okay.
Yeah, so it's like I'm kind of in a boat of happiness or a career that, you know, that he wants me to do.
Okay. Well, listen, you have to listen to your intuition. What is your intuition telling you?
To not do nursing because I don't really, I mean, I love caring for people. I already work within a hospital. So, and I love caring for people. You know, I love doing what I do. But as far as like having that license, I don't think that's something that I want to do.
Okay. And so
And I love
let's
my
talk.
husband, but
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sure
sorry,
you
what was that?
do. Let's talk about multiple relationships. What is a pattern that you've seen that exists in this relationship and another psychologically abusive relationship that you've experienced in the past?
So I've only really been with him like out of the longest for like a very long time. Others, you know, were just like short dates and whatnot. I'm only 24. And, you know, we've been together for 3 years, going on 4. So it's
How
like
old
I
is
can't
he?
like really. I'm sorry, what was that?
How old is he?
He's 24 as well.
Okay. And so he wants you to go to nursing school. Why doesn't he go to nursing school?
That's what I was saying. I was like, well, I mean, if, like, and honestly, he has, I would say, way more drive than I do, but he's just lazy. He doesn't really want to put in the work to go to school. I work 40 hours a week. I work 2 8-hour shifts and then 2 12-hour shifts the weekend. And, he works Monday through whatever because his schedule is like kind of up and down. Mine's is like straightforward. So it's like he can't like really go to school because of his schedule, but I mean, mine kind of fits, if
Okay.
that makes any sense.
And
But
so,
I think he's a great man. I'm sorry, go ahead.
right. So, okay. So he's great. He's wonderful. And is he
Yeah,
willing to go to therapy to work on some of the issues that he has on the inside?
he's already in therapy, but he hasn't really been in there for long for them to really like dig deep down inside of
Okay.
him
Okay. And so, do you know what it is that he's going to therapy for?
to figure out his problems.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Are you going to go to therapy?
I think I should, to be honest with
Okay.
you. I really do. Because it's like I don't really know like where I belong within a field. I mean, like I said, I love caring for people and I love being there for people, but as far as nursing, I just don't see it. And he's pushing
Yeah.
me to go in that field and I don't want to do it.
And is he respecting your boundaries of when you say no, that that's not what you want to do?
No, I mean, he tells me I can do it. He encourages me. He tells me that I'm smart, I'm brave, whatever. And
And when you say this is
it
not what
sounds
I want
good,
to
but I don't
do,
believe it.
please, when you say this is not what I want to do, please stop pushing me towards that. What does he say in response to that?
He just disregards that.
So
He tells me I can still do it.
he's not respecting your boundaries.
Yeah, I would say he's not.
Okay. So you know
I
what?
mean, do you think that we
You
should go to couples therapy for
Of
that?
course, I think that you need to be in individual therapy, and I think that you both need to, and I think it's a good sign that he's actually open to therapy. However, he's going to have to be willing to do the work that it takes to truly heal. And so that is where you're going to both you need to do your work, and he needs to do his work because you are asking questions that you already know the answer to, that you already feel inside of your spirit, but you have to figure out what it is that you need to do to be able to stand in your truth.
Exactly. But like, how do I get there?
Start with therapy. Start with your own individual therapy. Because there's some complex patterns and habits that you have been programmed in that are not, we can't work this out on a phone call. The phone calls, I want to hear from people who are going to teach other people the warning signs that they've noticed over a few relationships to be able to give other women the warning signs. You were in the thick of it. You had doubts and you still went and married him. You're saying he's a great man. He doesn't respect your boundaries, though. He's in therapy. You're not in therapy. And you're questioning yourself. There's an entire quagmire of different things that need to be dived into in your relationship. And only you can do that. Only you can do that. You have to love yourself enough to be able to invest in your healing enough to be able to find your voice. Because marriage is a milestone. It's a
It
milestone.
is. I agree.
And you went ahead into a situation before he got therapy and you married him. Are you all
Well,
protected? Are
the
you
thing
all
is,
practicing safe sex?
of course we are. But the
No,
thing
don't
is,
say of
we were
course
already
because not
married,
everybody
or he was
is.
already in therapy. I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay. Don't say of course, because not everybody is practicing it, especially when they're married.
Yeah. Well, I'm on birth control, but but the thing is, he was already in therapy whenever we got married. But I mean, it takes a while for therapy to work, and it takes a while for them to properly diagnose, their patients or whatever. But I hear what you're saying, and for the longest, I've been prolonging about seeing a therapist because of the stigma, and I don't really want to be labeled with a diagnosis, or just it's just personal issues. But
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I
Listen,
don't
this
know.
is your life, and you have to do what it is that you need to do to heal. And when it comes to therapy, it only takes as long as you choose for it to take, because a person has to go in and be willing to really talk, uncover, and do the work in therapy. You have to be willing to dive in, and it takes as long as you are willing to open up and get to the root of your issues, and go along the journey with the therapist to figure out
I
where it
hear
is
that.
that you are, and how you are going to do the work to get onto the other side of it, and just stay open to trying different things. So we appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name?
Donna.
Hi, your name is, say it again?
Donna.
Donna. Okay, so Donna, talk to me.
Well, I just want to say you're the best content creator, and I know we were divinely aligned for tonight, and God had to do a mighty work for me to open myself up for this phone call, and He used you gradually so I can know when your notifications and things like that. So, um, back to the point, you wanted to talk about some of the patterns. Um,
Mm-hmm.
well, the first relationship was directly out of my mother's home, thinking that I was too grown to follow rules and regulations. I was, eager to be grown, and the independence struck me. Well, thinking only about the bills and everything. And as long as the bills were paid and I wasn't bothering anybody, that's when the isolation away from family and people who cared. So I can say when you are devoting so much time into them that you're not around your family members and friends, and you're not doing the things that you used to love to do. That was the first thing that I noticed that could get you out of the norm and kind of dependent on them. I use the word dependent out of just the financial part, and how you would think about being secure in a relationship.
I'm so sorry. Hold on for just a moment. I'm sorry. Taylor, you're gone. You're gone from this page. You just got taken to the block party. And if there's anybody else who would like to go with him, please put up the number 9, and I will oblige right now. Please. I beg you, please. If there's anyone who would like to go with him, put up your number 9, and I will handle each and every one of you. I don't care how many 9s come in. I will get you right now. I will take care of you. So go ahead. Because there's some of you who don't know what it is that I know. And you get caught up in exactly what it is that we're talking about. Taylor is very manipulative. And he was in the comments. He got blocked because he was in the comments attempting to play the victim. And one of the things that I want you all to be very aware of, right? I want you all to be very aware of is that there are many people who don't know that they're manipulative. They don't realize that they're abusive. They think it's really other people They're blaming other people. Oh, it was them, it was this, it was that, right? Play with it. I'm waiting for the nines. Put them up. Anyway, let's continue going forward. I see that there are people calling for someone else to get blocked. Somebody by the name of Dan. Bring them forward. Listen, anybody else who's ready, come with it, no? Come feed. Let's go. You know what? I'm so sorry. There was a block party that just needed to take place, and I'm so happy and I feel so unencumbered, right? And I'm just waiting. Here's somebody who I just see. Here we go. Dan Marks. Hey! Come get some. Come get some. Dan Marks is gone too. Anyone else? Let's get it. All right. I'm going to need you to just take a deep breath with me. Breathe in deep. Okay? And I want you to tell me your name again and then start at the top. You said it's Donna, right?
Right.
All right. So start at the top for me. We just had to do a little bit of spring cleaning. So come, talk to me.
Yes, ma'am. You were saying that you were looking for callers to talk about some of the patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was storming, I realized that the isolation from family and friends should have been a
Mm-hmm.
major red flag. I've
Well, you know, it happens
been,
slowly. So what are the
yeah,
patterns
it
that you
did
notice from one relationship? How many abusive relationships have you been in?
actually 2 1/4 because as soon as the third one started, I nipped it in the bud. The battery, the the talking down on me. I stopped answering to anything that was not aligned with my
Mm-hmm.
upper being. Like if it didn't bring me up, I didn't sow those types of seeds, so I didn't want to reap those type of seeds. Now, at one time, it was hard for me to come into that enlightenment because I still, um, hurt people. So,
Yeah.
I was. I was the abuser in another relationship that didn't last that long. We can set up boundaries and we can build walls up, but if we're not applying the standards to our own life, we can be the abuser also. So I can see where some men are being abused because after the first relationship, when I got into the second relationship, some of those bad traits followed me
Okay. So you went from being abused to being the abuser.
in some aspects.
Okay.
Picked
This
in
is
I
that's
picked up on
completely understandable because part of what gets us into the abusive relationships in the beginning is the programming. We're
right,
programmed into learning certain patterns and behaviors and we just emulate them. And we
right,
it's this push and pull where we are already programmed to the abuse, so we recognize it when we see it in other people, and the relationship is a toxic relationship. So talk to me about the patterns that you would like to tell people that existed in both of your abusive relationships to serve as warning signs. So one you said was the isolation. What was something that existed in both relationships?
I was like the other caller said, trying to um, trying to bridge over financially what he should have been contributing.
Mm,
The young lady was saying that he wanted the best for her and the highest for her,
mm-hmm.
but when it came down to him, he can only just get a little random job.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now, um, I'm single now, but being that it isn't even in my range to even try to repeat that pattern, my standards for who I would date even if they're not there yet, just them talking about some aspirations, dreams, and things, that gets me motivated to even have a conversation with you now. Whereas I wouldn't even ask those specific questions.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, give us another pattern or two that existed in both of the abusive relationships.
Uh, I like to be spoiled, and sometimes they will start off with all the means of spoiling me and getting those
Okay.
things together in the
Love bombing.
beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I'm looking for those things, sometimes I'm being dealt the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm. Got you. Well, you know what? Listen, we appreciate you calling in. Thank you for sharing your story. And I hope that people will be able to find value and help in what it is that you stated here tonight. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye. All right. So the phone lines are open. And one of the things that I want you all to notice, right, is, you know, let me grab this call real quick. You're on the air live. I'm gonna put you on hold just a moment because I need to just speak. Okay, just a moment. What's your name?
Hi, Tanya. My name's Toya.
Okay, Toya, hold on for just a moment. Okay, so let me just say this, right? There's so many of us out here who don't really know how to see the intricate signs of abuse, right? Manipulation. And sometimes it comes in the form of a person pretending to be an ally, pretending to understand you and know you so deeply, agreeing with the things that you say and feeling you and really you pouring out to you how much they really truly relate to you, have giving the open ear to allow you to pour out so that they can hear the things that they need to hear to use as information. The thing that we don't really understand as it relates to abuse, abusiveness, manipulation, etc., is that many people are just operating from the patterns that they learned as children. They learned this in their home. They learned it, and they don't know. They do not know this right here is abuse. They don't know. They're not aware. This is just the way that we communicate. You know, we talked about the mothers who you go to have a conversation with your mother, and you're like, Mom, there are some things that I don't feel respected by, and I'd like to have a conversation. Oh, just put me in an old folks home. I can't do anything right. I was a terrible mother. Terrible. Just I don't even know why you even come around. And it's like you're trying to have a conversation with this person. And this person may on the surface look like they are, deeply remorseful and embarrassed and all this other stuff, when in actuality, what they're doing is they are manipulating you through their outbursts of emotion so that there's no space for you to really voice how you feel and to be able to have conversations honestly and openly, because they absorb all the space in the room and make it about them so that your needs are never addressed, right? Part of the reason that I have not been in an abusive relationship is because I can see some of this BS a mile away. The people who come in with the pandering and the people who come in that are trying to tell you what you want to hear and all of that, the love bombing and the oh, I'm so in love with you, that this is kismet, this is the universe, this and all of that. Listen, my mother is very intuitive, and her mother before her was very intuitive as well. And I have a tremendous ability to be able to read energy. So if there's some things that you don't understand, that's fine. There will be some people, and this is, and I can ask, and I wonder, right? I can ask some of you, like some of you who feel very deeply and feel these deep connections to these people that I cuss out and hang up on, right? How many abusive relationships have you been in? How many manipulative relationships have you been in? And like I said, you cannot find the solution to the problem with the same mind that created it. You can't. So just take note. Take note. All right, you're on the air live with Tanya. Tell us your name again. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. My name is Toya.
All right, perfect. So Toya, talk to us.
Okay, Tanya. So I took a few notes.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of self-reflection in the last 2 years, and really began to take my healing seriously. A part of that was using your heal or relax meditation.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of get to the point, and I made my points more so kind of based on self-reflection that I did, as far as like what were the things that were kind of the same about me in relationships that were abusive.
I'm so sorry, my dear. Listen, the block party started.
Oh, Black Party.
All
Yeah,
right. John Wilson's gone out of here. I'm so sorry. I had to get this person out of the
that's
chat,
okay.
verbally assaulting
That's
people.
okay.
All right. So you took some notes about
I
the
did.
relationships that you were in that were abusive, or the things that you needed to change about yourself.
Relationships that I were in that were abusive, but
Okay.
from the perspective of me, like what was it about me that was the same that drew me into these relationships?
Okay. Go
Um,
ahead.
yeah, so I'm 39. I've been in at least 5 abusive relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the things that I definitely noticed, I grew up watching my mother get beat.
Okay.
I had declared to myself, I'm never going to let somebody hit me. So one of the things that I noticed was I would always kind of say, well, at least he's not hitting me. But even in some of my relationships, I did end up being physical. The abuse did end up becoming physical.
Mm.
Um, and I think one of the important things about that is during during uh during those times where I was being abused, where it was not physical, I didn't understand at the time how violent non-physical abuse can be, and how much
Mm.
of an impact it was having on me mentally and spiritually.
Got you.
Um, yeah, and so another thing that I noticed is that I really did not understand boundaries. And
Mm.
I know we talk about that a lot. I think a lot of that for me, it seemed like it had to do with shame. I noticed that um, in all of those relationships, I always felt shame. I always felt like I needed to prove myself. I
Mm.
always felt like, you know, it's okay. It's okay. I must have made him do that. It's my fault.
Mm.
It's because I'm not pretty enough, or it's because my food that I cook isn't good enough, or I don't dress nice enough, or something like
Mm.
that. So it was like some level of shame there.
So I'm sorry, did you say improve yourself or prove yourself?
Prove.
Okay. All right. So feelings of shame, feelings of needing to improve.
No,
Okay.
not improve, but just prove
Oh,
myself. Feeling like I
prove.
needed to
Okay.
to
Prove.
them,
Oh, okay. Prove. Okay. Got that. Thank you.
prove to them that they can treat me nice. Like it was like I felt like I did, like if I can be better, if I can do better, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna prove to them that they can treat me better. Like I'll
Okay.
get better treatment from them if I prove to them that I deserve better treatment. That was
Got you.
how I felt subconsciously.
Okay. Got it. I'm taking notes too. All right. Okay.
Um, Another thing that I noticed was that I was valuing things that were basically just like personality traits in these men,
Mm-hmm.
and not core values and priorities. So, for example, things like he makes me laugh, or he's nice, he dresses nice, um, You know, he knows how to fix things. But I think like I should have been looking for things like what are his priorities? What's important to him in his life? You know, is family important to him? Am I important to him?
Yes.
Are my feelings and my safety important to him?
Okay.
So,
okay. That is beautiful. Listen, I hope you all are taking notes because this is some good stuff right here. This is deep. Go ahead.
I think I got like one more. I haven't. What do you do with it? Oh, I was ignoring my feelings. I definitely, you know how you say like there's always red flags. There are definitely always red flags. I'm extremely intuitive, Tanya. I actually dreamed that I was going to talk to you just last night. So
really,
I'm very, very into it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Is this the
very
conversation you
intuitive.
dreamt that we would have? Was it a conversation that had the block party right in the middle?
Welcome to the block party.
Hey! Oh, goodness. Okay, go ahead. Was that the last one or ignoring your feelings? I was
ignoring my feelings. Yeah, I would always like have a deep feeling. Like I even one time, Tanya, it's so weird. I was the last guy that I dated. I was engaged to him. I haven't dated in 2 years. This was the last guy, and I had. Oh, I got one more after this one. That's going.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Here we go again. Mark.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Black.
Exactly. Mark trying to hit up women, talking about he's a good established man. You're done, son. You're done. Talking about this broadcast ain't for me, but he trolling for babes in the comments. You blocked, son. Out of here. All right.
I love it. So, okay, so I didn't listen to my feelings. There was a time with my ex-fiance where I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was telling her like, yeah, we had broken up, and she had asked me, how are y'all doing? And
I'm sorry. Here go Yummy. Yummy.
You're not playing tonight. Stop playing.
Yummy, you're gone. You could go dance with the rest of them at the block party. All right.
They want free tickets to the block party. But I had a time where I was, while I was telling my friend, yeah, we're gonna get back together, I could literally hear all of the cells in my body scream no. I know that sounds weird, but it really happened. The last thing I was gonna say, the other thing that I noticed about all these relationships, with the exception of the last one that I was in, I didn't have a lot of stability and support in my life. So I was really dependent on that relationship solely for a lot of my emotional and social connection, which made it harder for me to walk away from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emotional and social connections making it difficult. Yeah. All right. Were you isolated? Yeah. Why were the connections so strong?
Yeah, I was definitely isolated.
Okay.
I don't know my father's side of the family, and my mother's side of the family. She left where we live, like she left our hometown. So I'm in Chicago, and I've pretty much just been here with me and my two sons now, and their dad, because I stayed here because I was with their dad for 7 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, you know what? Thank you. We appreciate you spreading those words of wisdom.
You, Tanya. I love you so much. I'm a Aries with a Leo moon, and it's like your energy. I just love your energy. I swear.
Thank you.
You have helped me so much. You helped me so much.
Thank you. We
So,
appreciate it. We love you too. Thank you. This call was so helpful. You gave so many wonderful tips, and people heard you, and you are saving lives. You're saving lives. So thank you. Thank you.
all right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, oh, let me hang up. Thank you so much. Thank you for your. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. This has been a wonderful evening. I am logging in to the apples so that, because you all have been sending them, but after a certain time my ringer doesn't ring because I like to get my rest. But I felt like tonight's broadcast was really important. We're going to look at the apples, and then we're going to take one more phone call after we go through the apples. So we appreciate that. I just have to get them up and running. Give me 1 second. I wasn't planning on, I wasn't planning on doing kind of like a show thing. I just wanted to come in and jump out. So I didn't have everything set up. Oh my goodness, it just started. Oh my. It just caught me off guard. It caught me off guard. No, I want my music. I want my music. What's happening? Let me, this thing. Everything? Okay, it's bugging now. It's bugging. It's bugging. Oh my goodness. You know what? It's not going to let us be great tonight. So here's the cash app.